Well, it's a beautiful day in Gurugram today, and speaking of beautiful, the ride standing right in front of me is another example of a true blue beauty. Well, the scooter that you see right in front of me is Hero MotoCorp's all-new Xoom 110cc scooter. It's been launched with a 3-variant lineup, and the prices start from rupees 68.5 thousand for the LX variant, that is the base variant. What does it offer? Well, of course, it's the standard non-alloy version. So alloy wheels are missing in it. You get standard steel wheels, and instead of a fully digital instrument cluster, you get a semi-digital analog digital instrument cluster. And apart from that, you move on to the VX mid-spec variant, wherein you start getting a couple of more features. For example, a slightly wider rear tire, and Hero MotoCorp's i3S technology is available from the VX variant onwards. What it is essentially is Hero's start-stop system, that's called the i3S. And apart from that, in the mid-spec variant, you also are introduced to a couple more features, such as a light in the boot and a USB port in the front apron storage over here. And then you move on to the ZX top spec variant, and now that is a variant to go for because it has all the technology that you could ask for. For example, it gets Bluetooth connectivity, it gets a fully digital instrument cluster, it gets these diamond cut 12-inch alloy wheels that look really smart, and also another important safety feature that makes its debut on the Xoom 110 and is only available on the top spec variant is intelligent cornering light. Yes, we've heard the term cornering light before, but only in premium vehicles wherein the headlight turns with the car. That feature has been introduced by Hero in the 110cc scooter segment. So I mean, it is completely unbelievable at first. For now, these were the launch details. Now you know what each variant of the Xoom 110 offers. So now it's time to dig into the overall riding experience of the Xoom 10, what it offers in terms of styling, you know some of the features it has to offer, and is it worth the money that Hero is asking for it. So let's dig in. Now, before we dig into the riding experience of the Xoom 110, the first point of discussion has to be the way the scooter looks. I mean, straight off the bat, it is a very, very stylish looking scooter. In fact, probably one of the most stylish 110cc scooters Hero MotoCorp has come out till date. And it's not just a good looking scooter, but the styling is also pretty interesting. I mean, it can spark an interesting debate. I'll get to that point now. For example, at the front, you get this really cool looking, egg-shaped LED DRL that sits right in front of a projector LED headlamp. And while that looks really striking, you can't help but notice that the styling is very similar to Hero's previous product that they launched, that is the Vida electric scooter. And speaking of Vida, even these diamond cut alloy wheels that you see right here, they are also very similar to the Vida. And when you move up from the headlight section to the handlebar area, you can't help but notice the design similarity of the Xoom 110 with the NTORQ 125. So it gives us an interesting idea about what Hero exactly had in mind when they were designing the Xoom 110. So you get to know that this scooter has been designed to take on the most sportiest scooters that are on sale, such as the Honda Dio and even the TVS NTORQ, even though it belongs to the 125cc segment. Now, moving on from the front, when you get onto the side profile of the Xoom 110, the first thing that catches your attention is this dual tone paint scheme. And of course, when we're talking about the paint scheme, I should mention the Xoom 110, it comes with up to 4 color options, and they're all very bright shades. So, you get that feeling that Hero has made this scooter so that it appeals to the younger crowd. So again, a very bright color palette, and the dual tone scheme looks great. The Xoom X-Tech badging is also pretty unique and it looks great, and so does this really nicely set up silencer with this plastic protector. And it's great to see that the color scheme continues on to the exhaust, and overall the scooter looks great from the side. Now from the side we move on to the rear of the Xoom 110, and again that X theme that you saw at the front has been carried over to the rear courtesy of this X-shaped LED tail lamp. Now that I've mentioned LEDs, it's worth mentioning here that the Xoom 110 range across the board, that is all three variants, come with full LED lighting as standard. So an LED tail lamp, a projector LED headlight, and the egg-shaped LED DRLs, they are all standard across the Xoom 110 range. So I mean, that is a great thing because if somebody is buying the base variant, they won't have to compromise on these styling features. And if you move your attention from the tail light slightly just above it, you see that this is a proper body integrated grab rail, which is proper metal, whereas the body is plastic, and it's been integrated so neatly into the design that, you know, from the rear, the scooter looks really attractive, especially when you see it in motion. So I think overall, if I have to summarize the styling, I think Hero MotoCorp has absolutely nailed it with the looks of the Xoom 110. And now it's time for the most important aspect of the Xoom 110, and that is how is its riding experience. Well, we rode the scooter today, this top-end ZX version. We rode it around in Gurugram for quite a while today, on good surfaces, on bad surfaces, at high speeds, at low speeds. Did a couple of emergency braking maneuvers just to get an idea of what it is exactly capable of. And here are our first impressions. Well, the first thing that you notice while riding the Xoom 110 is a relatively harsh ride, yes. And I'm pretty sure that that is not a tire pressure issue, because I felt the suspension is genuinely, you know, quite stiff. But that again can be justified to an extent because Hero claims that it is an all-out sporty scooter. So whenever you include the term sporty for a product, that definitely takes a toll on its ride quality and suspension a little bit. So if you're used to a firm ride, you won't have any issues with it. But if you like your scooter to be, you know, really plush and it should offer a pliant ride, then I think you'll be a little bit disappointed by the Xoom 110. On the flip side, the stiffly sprung setup does help the Xoom 110 in terms of high-speed stability. It feels really, really confident going around corners at high speeds, and that is something that I found to be quite appealing. But of course, you can only enjoy that high-speed cornering when you're on a good surface. When you're on a bad surface, as is the case with majority of the roads in India, you need a slightly softer suspension setup for more riding comfort. The next bit during my ride that really caught my attention was the Xoom 110's braking. Now at this point I should mention that the 190mm disc brake at the front that you see here, along with the bi-brake caliper, that is exclusively available on the top spec variant. That's because the other two variants, the standard and LX and the VX variant, come with a drum brake setup on either end. So that is an important difference over here. But apart from that, what I realized about the braking is that though it is effective, it is good. The scooter brakes quite well during emergency braking maneuvers as well. But despite all this, what I did feel is that even with the combi brake system that Hero MotoCorp offers, the braking feel is just a bit too numb for someone like me who likes a bit of, you know, lever travel and is more interested in that one finger operation of the lever. Well, that is something that you cannot do on the Xoom 110 because the levers are quite hard, they feel quite wooden, and as I said, though the braking is effective, you do not really get that nice feel translated into the levers themselves. So that is again something that I found a little bit disappointing, but of course that is something that you can get used to as a rider. So that is not a deal breaker in my opinion. And apart from that, if I talk about the engine, which is I feel the highlight of my riding experience, the single cylinder air cooled 110cc engine. It's been borrowed from the Maestro Edge 110 and it has been left as is, so the tune has also not been changed. Therefore it produces 8 bhp and around 8.7 Newton meters of torque, and I feel the performance is satisfactory. In terms of, you know, the acceleration and the top speed, I did realize that the scooter sort of topped out at near 85-86 kilometers an hour. For a rider of my size and weight, I of course weigh around 90 kilograms, so you can get a pretty decent estimate from that. But as I said, the performance felt satisfactory, not very good. That's because while the scooter felt decently quick on straight roads, as we went over an inclined surface or over an uphill surface, I realized that the scooter had run out of juice a little bit. and it wasn't as quick as I'd hoped it to be. So, and even though we were just a single rider at this point, so if you add a pillion rider, then again you can get a very good estimate as to what kind of performance the Xoom 110 offers going over an incline or an uphill surface. Now, circling back to the engine, as I said, the performance was satisfactory. I did feel it was a little underpowered on inclined surfaces. But what I did realize is that the engine does really well in terms of NVH. Now, of course, it's a factory rolled out unit that we're riding today. So it has not had its time to run in properly. That is why I did feel that it was a little bit gruff. It felt a little rough when, starting off from being stationary and in the mid-rev range. But surprisingly, when I was pushing it all out, that is when I was going at around 85, 86 kilometers an hour just to test it. And that was the point at when the engine was simply vibration free. I mean, there were no vibrations coming from anywhere in the body. And that was a really surprising thing, because generally it's the other way around, where the engine gets really loud and really noisy, and the vibrations start coming in when it's being pushed to the edge. But here it was the other way around. So I'm sure when you've had that run-in period with the Xoom 110, it will remain smooth throughout. So as I said, the engine was the main highlight of my riding experience today. In terms of scope for improvement, it can do with a softer ride, and it can do with better braking feel. But other than that, there's not much to complain on the Xoom 110. Be it in terms of the ground clearance, it offers 155 millimeters of it. So it's more than enough to tackle, even the baddest potholes or speed bumps that you might encounter on your daily city ride. And even the seat height is reasonable. It's not uncomfortable at all. And even the riding posture, though because I have a slightly wider frame, I felt that the scooter was a bit narrow for me. But for someone with an average size, average width frame, they would feel just fine on the Xoom 110. So as I said, there is scope for improvement, but again, it's not an entire deal breaker in my opinion. And in terms of the riding experience, I think the Xoom 110 performed great today. So now it's time to summarize everything that I've just said about the Xoom 110. I'll begin with the pricing. At this price point, at a starting price of rupees 68.5 thousand, I mean, the Xoom 110 is priced quite well. But at this point, I should mention that these are the introductory ex-showroom prices, and Hero has not mentioned at this point that for how many customers or till how many units will these prices apply. So again, that's a double-edged sword. And at this current price, at the launch price, it's priced quite similar to its rivals, especially ones like the Honda Dio, that's in the similar price band, and even the TVS Jupiter. So that is something that you should watch out for. In terms of pricing, it's a pretty good deal. Lastly, in terms of the riding experience and the performance, well, the Xoom 110 performs quite well, especially for everyday city riding. But do keep in mind that if you're riding with a pillion, then the performance might not feel as adequate as it would with a single rider. So, I mean, if I were to summarize, it's a great product. It's been designed well. And a special shout out goes to the build quality of the Xoom 110, because as I was testing the panels and the fitment and how they look, I mean, it does score really well on that front. The only fly in the ointment is that the certain black plastics, like the ones that you see on the handlebar over here, they look and feel a little cheap, and that is with most black plastics on most Indian scooters. So, I mean, it's not really that big a fault that you can attribute to the Xoom 110. So this was our first ride review of the Hero Xoom 110. If you feel that we missed out on any important points that should have been covered in this review, do let us know in the comment section below. And until next time, this is me, Divyank Bansal, signing off for autoX.